Yes guys, welcome back to Talking Wolves, welcome back to a new video to discuss a meeting that I had alongside a number of other fan groups and content creators at Molineux yesterday evening. I sort of mentioned this a couple of days ago and welcomed your feedback and questions ahead of the meeting as well, as I did on social media, as I felt it was important. We had the opinion of a lot of fans going into this meeting as well, a meeting that we took very seriously alongside senior members of Wolverhampton Wanderers, including the new interim chairman, Nathan Shi. So I'm going to be discussing that meeting. There's already, by the time this video is out, there will already be a statement from us all out on social media in regards to the main points from that meeting. Overall, it was just over 2.5 hours long. We made our points known, very strong in our points as well. And I feel that there was a certain success to the meeting. There were some points that I probably wanted to get a little bit more out, but I'll talk about that throughout the video as well. And always appreciate you guys commenting. If you have any questions on the meeting, of course you can let me know and I'll try my best to answer those in the comment section as well. Now, I'll very quickly talk about the people that were there in attendance. So representing Wolverhampton Wanderers, it was of course Nathan Shi, Max Fitzgerald, who's head of communications, Matt Jackson, who's the technical director at the football club, Matt Wild, who's the secretary, and Dave Wood, who's the liaison officer. And in terms of the fans, we've got Kieran from the Old Gold Pack, Ryan Lester from the Wolves Report, Harry Mansell from the 77 Club, of course myself, Dazzling Day from Always Wolves, Little Dan from the Fancast, Keith Sutton, or Sutty as you guys may know him, representing the Wolf Whistle podcast, Andy Sahota from Punjabi Wolves, Matt Brooks from the Wolf Pack, and Chris Humphreys representing the Wolves 1877 Trust. So the notes that we've put out, or will put out, are sort of close to the order that we were discussing things, but as you can imagine, across a sort of 2.5 hour period, we were going back to things and sort of discussing things like recruitment throughout the meeting as well. I'd like to say thank you to all the Wolves, members of the Wolves committee as well, because gave up a lot of time, but firstly also got involved in the conversation. They didn't really shy away from any questions in particular, to be completely honest. Let's start with Nathan Shi overall, his role at the football club, Fosun at Wolverhampton Wanderers as well. So one of the first things that we wanted to get across is obviously the situation, the position of Jeff Shi, the chairman who was moved on in December. There were lots of question marks over his involvement still in Wolverhampton Wanderers. So Nathan has confirmed to us he reports directly to Chairman Jour, not to Jeff Shi. Jeff Shi is no longer on the Wolverhampton Wanderers payroll. He's moved into the wider Fosun ecosystem now, so he's still obviously working for Fosun at the moment, but absolutely nothing to do with Wolverhampton Wanderers. Of course, the use of interim title for Nathan Shi at the moment is a more respectful approach for him, as he looks to demonstrate his quality and capability in the short term. And of course, he has stated that he's going to be taking full responsibility for all the decisions made at the football club at the moment. He confirmed all that after a little introduction about himself as well. A real down-to-earth guy, if I'm being completely honest. Explained his background a little bit as well, working previously with Chairman Gore, head of staff for him as well. So you would hope and feel that there should be quite a close relationship between the two, but of course he's still very aware of Wolverhampton Wanderers, very aware of what's been going on at the football club as well, and that's why I hope and I cross my fingers that he could be a successful appointment and a successful person in charge there. In regards to Fosun's ownership, we questioned that. There were question marks about that. Fosun described Wolves as a very important asset still to them, a key representation of the group outside of China at the moment. Around half of Fosun's profits and the workforce, of course, are based outside of China. And they stated they are continuing to invest in the club, have never taken money out of the club. And are then asked about the investment. Of course, there were rumours that they were looking for investors at the moment. So short to mid-term, that is no longer the case. Fosun are fully focused on things themselves. Now, big points that we wanted to bring forward to Nathan and for him to address, of course, was the state of the club at the moment, the lack of vision, the lack of identity. And these are some really interesting points that were raised and that he brought to the table. So at the moment, there's an 18-month strategy focused on Wolverhampton Wanderers being a Premier League club. Now, if relegation this season were to occur, and we know, everyone watching this video, there is that likelihood, the aim would be to spend just a maximum of 1 season in the Championship with whatever investment is required to return back into the Premier League at the first time of asking. Now, as you can imagine, a lot of us around that table were glad to hear that, but also emphasised how difficult and how tough the Championship can be. So this is a big, big promise to make for fans. And if it works, fantastic. If not, whoever has come up with that, Nathan Fosun, are going to look extremely stupid. A step-by-step rebuild towards where the club believes it should be is going to eventually be in place. Acknowledgement from the club already that there has been the visions, the values, the clear characteristics have been missing at the football club for the last 2 or 3 years. There's also a focus on rebuilding player confidence following a difficult start as well. That's internally at the football club at the moment. And we're hoping by the end of the season, there will be some sort of communication from the club in regards to that vision, what they want to achieve, where they want this football club to go. Because they know at the moment, under the previous regime, the club has failed. And now the guys who have taken over and got certain senior roles have got to pick up the pieces. They've got to take the punches from the fans as well. And they're the ones that have got to take the brunt of this and try and fix this football club and get it back to where it belongs. Another positive was in regards to staff continuity. Of course, Jeff Shi did mention this on a previous interview on BBC WM that he believes all staff should be remaining in their jobs. And Nathan Shi echoed that. He said that the club are a Premier League team. They want to continue acting like a Premier League team. And of course, in 18 months, they want to be a Premier League team. So there's no point in the football club sacking and moving people on when, if they get promoted back to the Premier League, they would have to reappoint those people in the same positions. So, as far as we're aware, job security for people, not just in and around Compton and the football club, but the hospitality staff, megastore staff, sales, whatever, all being well, I say all being well, we've got guarantees that they will be keeping their jobs. In response to what's happening internally at the football club as well, it sounds like a lot has changed. And even before this meeting, having communication and interaction with people that work at the football club, it sounds like a much better place to work at the moment. It seems internally a little bit more positive, which of course it can only be a good thing really. There has been an emphasis on greater honesty and stability, moving away from the culture of covering for each other, which we have seen over the previous years at the football club. Direct conversations have already been held with staff and players about the vision, about expectations. Nathan has already met every department individually over his first 6 weeks as interim chairman of the football club. Players have also expressed a desire for clarity on the club's direction and development pathways. So, of course, it's not all just the fans that are disillusioned by what had been going on at the football club. And the club have noted an improved momentum since late 2025, as I sort of alluded to, just describing the situation as pretty positive, whilst acknowledging results still need to improve. There was plenty of talk in regards to recruitment, transfer strategy. So I asked Matt Jackson directly in regards to his role and what was going on in the summer window. So this month now, January, is Matt Jackson's first official role where he will get a really big say on transfers and so on. I asked him in regards to summer, he got very little say in what was going on in regards to recruitment, players coming in and out. His job at the time was to look over all the departments. He was sort of, the director of things that were going on and making sure things were running as they should have been across the Wolves first team, the academy, the Wolves women. But in terms of recruitment, it was Domenico Tetti and Vitor Pereira and even Jeff Shi in their mind as well, probably having a little bit too much say at the football club. So Matt Jackson has said he wants a hell of a lot more say and a hell of a lot more input from the recruitment team at the football club as well. He believes they've got a good recruitment team. Even during the summer, there were certain players. He used Sunderland as an example. There were a number of players that ended up moving to Sunderland that Wolves were looking at originally. Siddiqui is one of those, a player that Wolves wanted and kept tabs on, and unfortunately, the head coach went against a lot of what was said at the football club at the moment. So there are mistakes there, and I'll go back to what I said there. There are mistakes there and bridges that have been burnt by previous regimes at the football club that these guys are going to have to be brave enough to pick up, and they will take slack along the way. There will be false narratives along the way, and that's why I question him on that, because I've seen a lot of comments about Matt Jackson as well, in regards to his role at the football club, and I think it's very unfair, in my opinion, to judge him so early. And I think this window, and definitely the summer window, is where he should be judged a little bit more heavier. But in their eyes, the January window wasn't. The approach was to protect the club's value. There's a lot of players of value there. Explained the sort of way they wanted to go around the January transfer window, and unfortunately, due to the club's position, it is very, very difficult to recruit football players at the moment. And it may well be in the next couple of days, deadline day. At the moment, Wolves isn't the most attractive options for players, and it may well be something that towards the end of the window where Wolves can bring players in. Now, Matt Jackson did say he's confident of getting at least one player through the door, so I'm going to hold that against him if it doesn't come to fruition. And Xu Bin, the Chinese midfielder that signed today, does not count, I hope, anyway. So, yeah, they are confident of getting at least one player through the door. Avoiding short-term player sales that will weaken the club's summer position as well. And the club described it very active behind the scenes, despite, obviously, at the moment, publicly, it's quite quiet. But going back to what I said about the Championship, they will invest. They believe they'll be one of the big hitters in the Championship in terms of transfer window. They believe there'll be money to spend to make sure Wolves get the right players in and make sure Wolves can bounce back into the Premier League at the first time of asking. Now, a couple of other things that I know a lot of people would have mentioned and asked about as well. Let's get esports out of the way. Of course, that was such a thing that Jeff Shi really pushed. There was confirmation from Nathan Shi that esports is a completely separate entity to Wolverhampton Wanderers. The Wolves esports team and Wolves as a football team are completely separate. In my opinion, he didn't say this, but from the impression I got, I don't think he's that impressed with that overall scheme and idea. He said he's going to be sitting down with them to have a clearer review and a long-term vision for what they want moving forward in regards to the esports team. There was a lot of speculation and frustration, I would say, about rumours about an esports stadium in China as well. That was going to be completely locally funded. That was nothing to do with Wolverhampton Wanderers. That wasn't going to come out of the pocket of the football club as well. Ticketing, of course, was a very big thing that a lot of people wanted to push on and ask questions about as well. We did bring that up. We spoke to a couple of the members of staff about that, and we wanted to try and get guarantees off them. However, it's as if our meeting maybe came a little bit too soon for that, which was frustrating because I really pushed for that as well. So there were no explicit guarantees on all pricing figures that were provided during the meeting yesterday. It wasn't something that Nathan had yet reviewed ahead of next season. The club stated that ticket pricing will be reviewed through its internal decision-making processes, including the ticketing team. There have already been discussions about it, but obviously nothing advanced and nothing alongside Nathan Shi as of yet. The club have accepted that supporter consultation needs to take place earlier in a more meaningful way rather than after decisions are effectively finalised. As we saw a couple of years ago with the season tickets, when they shot up in price, it then took a massive boycott or backlash from fans online for certain things to get reversed. And then, like I said, we urged them, we really made strong points to them that these ticket prices need to reflect on-pitch performance and the club's likely league status. So, I know Jeff used to use the benchmark thing. We believe our prices at the moment are benchmarked against Aston Villa's, who are challenging for the Premier League title and in European football. Next season, are they going to be benchmarked against top-end Championship teams? Because if they are, Wolves are going to have to chisel £200-300 easily off those ticket prices. But like I said, I pushed for a guarantee. I really wanted to, and I could tell they wanted to try and play a little bit, but they just felt like they need to do it professionally. Nathan Shee's not looked at that part of things yet. I think at the moment his main focus as positive / deluded as it may be, his main focus is making sure Wolves stay in the Premier League. I suppose if he is talking figures on us being a championship team, it is quite a defeatist mentality. But I really hope the points that we got across to them yesterday will be a big factor. And I think they'll know anyway, regardless of yesterday's meeting. They'll know they need to review that. But I'm really hoping that the emphasis that we put on it yesterday will mean that they can drop those prices ahead of next season. We'll finish off with the stadium as well. That was raised. Wanted to get Nathan's thoughts and feelings on that as well. The stadium is on the list of the long-term strategy for Nathan Shi and Wolverhampton Wanderers. He acknowledged the awareness, early discussions with the City Council as well. He's had meetings with them and there is an intent to analyse the options. But he said at the moment he's just not spent enough time. Look, he's been at the club 6 weeks and we're trying to put a lot of pressure on him here. But I asked him in regards to what his long-term vision, especially for the Steve Ball stand, was it just to give it a full refurb? Was it to rebuild it? And at the moment he just couldn't commit to anything like that. But it is on his agenda. They noted that the stadium projects are very high risk. They've got to be handled carefully. They don't want to harm the club too much financially. A few of the other guys around the group, mentioned certain CGI pictures that were released sort of 2018, 2019 about this brand new spanking stadium, and the club mentioned that certain folk that wanted to bring those to the table, I think, set up almost false promises for the fans, and they're no longer at the football club anymore because they were the ones that were pushing this thing that potentially was never ever going to happen. So I know Jeff Shi has had a lot of stick for that and pushing certain people away, but I think there have been people around him that possibly got a little bit too excited on certain things as well. But I think the main thing out of this was that there were certain people, Sutty, as I'm sure a lot of you guys watched some other podcasts, Sutty's on there, and he's a great guy. He's a massive Wolves fan, a really passionate Wolves fan. And he did have a long section where he made it very, very clear how nasty things can get if the football club don't book up their ideas. And we've made it very clear to the football club that whatever was discussed during this meeting, there will be some things that maybe you guys don't want to hear. There's some positives in there. There's probably some things that I want a bit more of as well. But Sutty made it very clear to them, if things don't go to plan, things can turn very, very quickly. And we don't want to do that, but we will have to do that, to get our point across once again. These meetings shouldn't have to happen. In a way, it was almost a privilege that you can sit down with very senior people at the football club, but it shouldn't happen that way. And there were certain things that I liked what Nathan said. He says that his focus is on football first. He's got a really keen focus on making sure this football club improves drastically on and off the pitch. He's rebuilding relationships that were broken and may have never been there between certain elements of the football club and Jeff Shi. He seems, from obviously a very short period of meeting him, a lot more switched on. People seem to engage with him more, connect with him more. It gives me that little bit of hope. I met Jeff Shi previously, and I got on in terms of he was a nice enough guy, but he was very difficult to read. And I felt that there were a lot of what he was saying, I had to take it with a pinch of salt. Whereas with Nathan Shi, I think there's a little bit more to it, but it's still very early days. And I think actions speak louder than words in this situation. I think that sums up this whole video. Actions do speak louder than words. Unfortunately for Wolves, they've dug themselves such a big hole now. It would be an absolute miracle for them to get out of it. And if we do, I will personally build Rob Edwards, personally build Nathan Shi a statue for keeping us in the Premier League. But ultimately, we have to remember this mess has not happened under Nathan Shi's ownership or him looking over the club. We have to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. But the club is in such a mess at the moment. And that's what yesterday's meeting was about, to make sure they're aware of that, how angry fans are, and also to get something back. What can we take? Do you understand how much of a mess the club is in? And what will you do to make sure it is fixed again? And we made it clear to them in regards to recruitment for next season. If we do go straight back up, I think Sutty said this as well. We've been on a 10-year cycle and it's pretty much restarted, and we're going to be bottom of the barrel in the Premier League when we go back up. So we've said how important recruitment is again there as well. So that will be very interesting. I know a lot of people will talk about their opportunity to maybe speak or get their point across. And what we have done, we have got a commitment from the club in regards to fan forums as well. So down the line, hopefully 2, 3, even more times a year, we're looking to hopefully get the club officially to set up fan forums where 200-ish, up to 200 supporters can be in attendance, have their opportunity to ask questions directly to the football club. It will open engagement to a wider section of the fan base as well, and that will be potentially with Nathan Shi, senior members of the football club, Matt Jackson and so on. And we're really hoping, that can come to fruition sooner rather than later. And of course, we'll update people on that when that does become the case. Of course, as you can imagine, there were lots of other little bits and pieces, and I'm sure other guys will do content on this and may well mention different pieces to what I have on here, on podcasts and so on as well. I'm sure I'll mention more little bits throughout the next few weeks or so as well, so please do stay tuned. Like I said, if you have any questions on things that may or may not have been spoken about, please let us know in the comment section down below. Unfortunately, Matt Jackson didn't tell us every deal that he may or may not have had lined up in January, although that would have been a fun part of the meeting, I suppose. And as always, guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Your support always means a lot. Obviously, without your support, I wouldn't be able to sort of be in these meetings and communicate these things with, with the football club and then with you guys as well. I know I'm quite normally a soft-spoken, quite I don't get angry. I'm very positive normally. But trust me, everybody in that meeting yesterday, including myself, held their own. We all in that meeting wanted one thing, and it was for Wolverhampton Wanderers to be successful again. And we all made that very, very clear. So I really hope that you guys can understand that. I really hope you can understand that we tried our best from this meeting. And I hope you can understand and appreciate any positives that we've got from it. Like I said earlier, though, actions do speak louder than words. This is a big opportunity for Nathan Shi, big opportunity for Fosun to get things right. And although this season the damage is done, let's just really hope the success and a bright future is closer than we think. As always, guys, look after yourselves, enjoy your weekend, and I'll catch you on the next one.